All right. First of all, I want to welcome you all for coming. And it's just so nice to see you. Most of you I've been able to sort of greet as you showed up. And I think that the prize for the person who's the furthest away goes to Martin Caxton, who's on the other side of the pond. He is a CBTA member that shows up very regularly and listens into our board meetings too. So thank you, Martin, for your faithfulness and sticking with us even at this great distance. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Okay. I wanted to say that yesterday was the 91st birthday of the park. And there was some very nice celebration, various stations that people could visit, a passport where they could get stamps on. And but I also want to acknowledge that for millennia, previous to the coming of Europeans, the indigenous Miwok and Washoe were the stewards of this land. So I want to give them credit for having taken care of these groves for thousands of years, and to remind people that these people are not extinct. Okay, they're Miwok and Washoe living in California yet, and we are fortunate that they are here because we're starting to listen to some of the ways that they took care of the forest and to try to incorporate that into the practices that are going on now. So I'll have more to say about stuff like that later. I wanted to introduce people from the board that are present here. And if you just say very briefly, and also the staff and any other people that you all should become familiar with. I am the current president, basically until the end of this month. And I will turn him out from being president. Okay, let's see. Jim, want to say hi? Jim Alday?
Hi, I'm Jim Alday. I've been on the board for a couple of years, and if everything goes as expected, I will be the treasurer starting in July 1st.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to acknowledge a past president, Rod Smith. Want to wave at us and say hi, Rod?
Hi.
All right. And Paul Prescott.
Hello.
Our current secretary. And Nancy Gardner, our treasurer.
Yes, I am the current treasurer till the end of the month, and I will be completing my 3 two-year terms at that time. So I'll be going off the board.
And we thank you for your service, and we'll acknowledge it in a little more detail later. Betty Watson, Miss Hospitality. You have been on the board before, and you are on the slate to be elected to the board.
Exactly, and I'm excited about that.
Yes, and you worked on the scholarship committee. Okay, Marcy.
On the board for 6 years.
Yeah, great. Marcy.
Good morning, everyone. Marcy Powers here. I've been on the board a couple of years and really enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Love working with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Bob.
Yes, Bob Boughton here. Been on the board, I think, for a year now, but been a docent for a while, so sort of followed along, and glad that COVID came along, so I had the ability to participate.
Okay. And let's see, Peter Ralston.
I'm Peter Ralston. I'm finishing up my first year as being a member of the board. As I was mentioning earlier, I've been coming to the park since I was a child, which is a long time ago. It's been great to be a member of the board.
Great. And I want to acknowledge our staff, and they're the boots on the ground that actually do the work, that keep things going. And first, our executive officer, Sue Hoffman. Okay, I think you don't want to say anything more. Our bookkeeper, Debbie. And our retail manager, Jacob.
Hello.
And besides that, Jacob, you want to say it? No, you'll hear from him later on. And besides that, there are customer assistants that Jacob supervises who are actually in the VCs serving our visitors right now. So I want to say that there's more to the retail staff than just the manager. And then I wanted to say hello to people from the Department of Parks and Recreation. Mike, you will be giving us a report in just a few moments. Okay, and that report will include an opportunity for Risa and Ford, our interns for this year, to introduce themselves and perhaps a little special treat, okay? So thank you to everybody who's here, and I wanted to acknowledge a bit about your roles. Don't forget Joan Alday. She's not on the board, okay? And and Bill said, don't forget Joan all day. And Joan, though she's not on the board, she has been on the board in the past. She does a lot. And she's sort of keeps informing us about history. And she will be actually speaking in one of the future seminars in September. So we'll get to learn more about her. The wonderful history of this area. Okay. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Merritt, our liaison with the state.
Yeah, hi everybody. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This really great board meeting. So many people, it's so fun. I'm going to give you guys a report on what's happening in the park. It's always fun. Kind of like a cool part of my job is to brag about all the cool things that are going on that other people are doing. I just get to brag about it. So it's a big perk of my job. And yeah, so I'm the interpretive manager for the Central Valley District. And so I'm a regional position, but I do spend a lot of my time supporting and working with my staff at Calaveras Big Trees. And working with the board, of course, on a lot of behind the scenes work, a lot of great projects going on. So I'll be giving you an update on what's happening right now. I'm going to bring up a slideshow here in a minute. And I know we have Ford and Risa here. And so actually, before I pull up my screen, I might actually have them talk and say hi so I don't have to cut in and out. And they seem really bubbly, ready to talk anyway. So I'm going to introduce our interns for the summer, Risa and Ford. And you all want to say a few things to everybody while you're here?
Sure, I'll just introduce myself. I've met many of you in person, but my name is Ford Richards. You can call me Ford Ranger, even though I'm not a real ranger. It's just kind of a funny car joke. You guys can laugh if you'd like. I'm from the Houston area, and I'm interning through the Student Conservation Association, and I love it out here. I love how cool it is. The weather is very nice, and there's lots of really cool trees and mountains. So a lot of new stuff to me, but I love it.
I'm Risa. I am from upstate New York. So being here has been really awesome. I also applied through the SCA, and it's been wonderful. Everybody here has been amazing. Living with Ford hasn't killed me yet. But yeah, this is a great place, and it seems like a lot of awesome people are making that happen.
Okay, and I want to remind people that CBTA actually funds the interns. So this is one of the ways that your money as members is being used. They are here for basically the summer. They tend to come in mid-May and stay until mid-August. So when we have our high season and the most visitors, we have some wonderful young people to greet them and provide programs. We also this is also an experience for them that I hope is very positive and, introduces them to this whole way of life, and I hope confirms their plans for going into this for a life career. Yeah. So is there anything else that you wanted to say or do at this point?
I'd like to say welcome to our interns. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you so much. And thanks for making this possible. Yeah. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's been amazing.
Right, well, thank you, Sam Ford. Yeah, and you'll see them all summer. For those of you come in the park, you'll see them running around with kids and people, and answering the same questions over and over and over, because that's what we're good at. So thanks y'all for saying hi there. Okay, I'm gonna kick up my little PowerPoint here. So let me get that going here. Oh, I gotta share my screen, and we're gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna pop up. Where is my slideshow from the beginning? Okay, how are we looking, Vita? Are we looking good there?
Yep.
Fine.
All right, super. All right, everybody. So I just love talking with a backdrop. So I'm going to be showing you guys my slides here, and yeah, absolutely love this partnership. I'm going to say right off the bat that I've worked with a lot of other boards and nonprofits through my state park career, and by far Calaveras is my favorite. You all are just so motivated. You're so professional as a board, but also the members that support the board and join it from here and there. It's just a pleasure to work with Calaveras Big Tree Association. So I just want to say that off the bat. So here's a little picture of our staff. This is an amazing picture because it's really hard to get everybody together. We all work throughout the week and everything. And so just insert Risa and Ford in there. I got your names, guys. I just don't have your pictures. But this is our interpretive crew, and you'll notice it is all ladies. They are rocking it. Somewhere out there is a park full of lots of guys. So we have balanced that out with our park. So Ford's gonna hold down the fort for us this summer, representing. Thanks, Ford, for that. But yeah, we got Corey and Carrie and Teddy. They are some of our park aides there. And Amber, as you probably know, in the middle there is our full-time interpreter. She sort of is the lead for me at that park and really manages the whole operation there. Lily is one of our new members on a permanent staff level. I'm going to talk about her in a little bit. You're also supporting her salary as well. And she specializes in online virtual interpretation, but she'll be helping a lot this summer. And we have Avery and Abby, who are actually two of our newest additions to our Park Aid team. They'll be doing a lot of frontline interpretive work, working at the visitor center and greeting people and things like that. I'll go back over to Carrie. She actually was promoted to a senior park aide recently, and she's doing a lot of great office work with our volunteer program, helping out Amber and giving more support for that program through the office. And then Teddy, for years, also has been promoted to senior park aide, but over the years, she's really focused on our school program and making that best possible. It is an awesome team we have here. I'm really glad to work with these people, and I'm sure you'll see them buzzing around the park as well. I'm going to go ahead and highlight a new resource we have that I've been working with the board on. It's the annual partnership plan. This is by design something that all nonprofits that work with state parks should have. And I want to again thank the board for being motivated to make this happen. Not all partnerships have this, but it's a great planning document that provides really like the what's going on. It makes our partnership a lot more transparent. I'm going to go through it a little bit, but it's a great document to help our partnership stay strong, to be transparent, and to really look at our success. You know, what are we trying to do as a partner? Well, when we do them, we should feel successful, but we have to know what they are first. So here's just a few things that we've been working on through the document. These are things that as the association and state parks that we partner together to make these things happen, and we have different roles to play. For example, the Park Visitor Center. That's a collaboration that, obviously we do that together. That's sort of the headquarters of CBTA, but in a way, there's the exhibits, there's all the infrastructure there. So we work together to make that happen. We don't do it alone. Park promotion, CBTA definitely does a lot of great promotion through flyers, through, a lot of the online stuff that they do. They provide us money to do scheduling through a platform called Bookio, which helps us book and schedule schools. Otherwise, we'd have to do it in-house, and that's a lot of work. So that's a huge help. Public talk, CBTA, we do a lot of our stuff, but then CBTA, you guys do more. You do more talks and bring more public into the parks. That's a great partnership as well. You all have sponsored the climate stewards training that we're happy to collaborate with you and provide facilities for that, so you all can have that. The intern program, as Vita just highlighted, and we just met, providing a chance to have some more people in the park help us out and to return, give them an experience in park work. Park aid funding, and I should really have that blown up bigger because that's a huge lift. Everybody back in that picture, I'll go back up real quick. There's only one person paid by state parks in this picture. Everybody else is supported through you all. And you can just imagine the people power that's being provided with supporting our parkades. So thank you for doing that. Our ports, Lily, this year and last, you are funding the ports position, which I'll go into detail more later. Huge impact. I'll be reporting on the master plan. This is a really important document. I won't get too much of it because it's very behind the scenes parking planning stuff, but it's a mover and shaker document that helps us move forward and be more professional. And you all have been supporting that process as well. Program supplies for our team, paper, a walkie-talkie, a camera, some marshmallows, things like that, really make our programs happen with the public. And then also supporting our volunteer program. A lot of you are volunteers out there in some way or another. So being able to, buy food and snacks and awards really helps us honor our volunteers and support them. And then, lately we just rebooted our newsletter. So CBTA is funding a newsletter for our visitors to learn more about the park. What a great partnership this is. And so a lot of great projects there and a lot of great support. I'm very happy to have this. Last week, we just finished up something that's kind of new for state parks. During the pandemic, we want to do a lot of, trying to keep things going. So state parks kind of had this spontaneous state parks week where we highlighted our parks. This year, they wanted to do it again, make it more formal. And so we had State Parks Week. And it's just a great way to tell California and the rest of the world that, hey, State Parks is here. We have great things going on. And so all throughout the state, parks did things. Here at Calaveras Big Trees, we were able to sponsor 4 days. And it's a 4-day kind of sponsored program. And each day is a different different theme, I should say. So for example, on Wednesday was Kids Career Day. And we had a children's career fair. Over 100 people participated, which was great. Thursday was health and wellness, which basically means let's go hiking. So we sponsored a Lava Bluffs trail, which actually was promoted statewide. It was highlighted. And so that got a lot of attention for us. Friday was Stewardship Day. So we just focused on junior rangers and junior cubs and talked a lot about the forest that way. And then last Saturday, we had Partnership Day, where we actually had CBTA do a booth and talk about what they do, what we're talking about right now, like what do they do for the park and how you can be part of that. So that was really great that we had to participate in all of those days and represent state parks. That's a picture of the Lava Bluffs Trail. I still have not hiked it, embarrassingly enough. So I kind of see that and want to go do it now. So here's from Career Day. Again, like we actually had, it was basically the idea of showing kids that, hey, you can have a career in state parks. And so we had some of our professionals out there, including one of our newest rangers, to talk about that. And so that was really neat to have the kids be involved in that. Special events. So I was hoping Amber was going to be here, my lead interpreter, to do a report. So I don't have a big report on our special events. But we had the Dogwood Festival last month, which was awesome from what I understand. You just heard a little bit about our birthday just the other day, 91st birthday. We are recognizing it, but it's funny because 91 isn't too far from 100. And I've actually talked to some people about just starting to think about the big 100 coming up. And so I'm kind of excited about that, even though it's years away. And we have Discovery Day coming up in July. And that's a really fun way to discover the park for a lot of people. This year, there'll be a bonus event during Discovery Day. We are going to be sort of officially opening our new exhibit, the Pioneer Cabin Tree exhibit, which I'll talk about in a second. So it's going to be a really fun day to discover all kinds of new things in the park that day. Our summer programs, I just want to make sure or highlight what we're doing. Summer for this park, as you probably know, is a big deal. It's when we get tons of people, the park is beautiful, there's just so much great things going on. And because we want to be the best park possible, we provide programs for these people to help discover the park, to connect to it, to learn things, to take home. And so we have things like guided walks. We have them every day at North Grove. We also have meadow walks, which I think are a newer thing. So we've been promoting that as well. Kids programs, we specialize in this. Junior Cubs and Ranger Cubs, Wednesday through Monday. That's actually 6 days a week we're providing junior rangers. And it's interesting because back in January, the team kind of figured out that they can probably pull off 5 days of programming. We're doing 6 days this summer. And so it just really goes to show how our team's really coming together and making a lot of great things happening. We got Creek Critters, extremely popular activity in the park, and a puppet show. How many parks do puppet shows? Well, we do, and we're pretty proud of that. Campfires, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and I've heard they've been well attended as well. Astronomy nights, and also just the welcome table, just welcoming people to the park is something that we do every day, which makes a huge impact on people's experience. I mean, some of you, I mean, I guess, you know, everybody here, whether you're a board member or just a supporter member, you know, I think we all connected somehow to the park. And so maybe it was through these programs, maybe on your own, but we're all about building those connections. So I'm glad we can do that more this summer. Buses and Big Trees. This is a great program where we're actually, it's outreach. We're trying to get students who can't normally come to the park up here, and we fund transportation, which is the biggest roadblock to getting kids to the park. This year, there was you guys funded some money, and we got 6 schools up, almost 300 kids. It didn't fill up, but that was directly due to the pandemic. So we're hoping to keep the momentum going. We have a program, we know how to do it. And so we're looking to fund that and bring out more kids next year. Our North Grove Trail Work. This is exciting, everybody. So this summer, our probably, I think, one of the most important trails in our area around here, the North Grove Trail, will be getting worked on by the CCC crew. They're going to be out starting in July, just in a couple of weeks. They're going to be out here, and they'll be actually repairing and restoring that trail to more of an ADA level. It's been a long time coming. They'll be here till October. So you're going to see a lot of work on that trail, which is exciting because it's needed it. And while they're here, we will need to close certain sections of the trails for the work. That's all I know. I don't know the details of that, but obviously it's one step backwards, 2 steps forward for that trail. And I can't wait to enjoy all that and have people enjoy it as well. So look forward to seeing them out there, those guys and gals working hard to fix up our trail. Just a little thing about bears. Bears have been sighted, so if you're hanging out in the park, that's a thing. And that also, because of the bears, you may not heard, but we have a 0 tolerance for food storage violations, meaning people just leave their food out. And so the rangers will be patrolling. This is a way we keep our park safe, keep people safe, as well as our furry friend bears safe as well. So be on the lookout for bears. They're cool, but don't feed them. Okay, hiring. This is something that, you know, my job, I do a lot of. We're always trying to get people in those positions. So I have some exciting updates. We do have a Forester 2 coming up. And for those of you following our prescribed burns, our forest health prevention, all this stuff, this is a big deal for us because this gives us more leadership and more manager power in our fire prevention programs. And so they'll be instrumental in the health of the forest and getting things done. And then also hiring tech, they're basically like forestry park aides. They're going to come in and help out as well. So that's a big deal for our fire prevention program. Maintenance has been dogged with not a lot of people, and so they've been limited. So they've hired a few new maintenance aides. That's helping. Still need more, but we're looking, at least we have those, and we're looking to get more things done. And then we have Tina Miller is a senior park aide who's been promoted, and she can handle our special events. So a little bit of movement in our hiring at park at Calaveras. We're excited bringing people and have them help out. Warming hut. So a lot of you may have heard that our warming hut got shut down by the fire marshal. And it's a bummer. And because we know it's, you know, especially for the winter, it's a huge part of our park. People experience it. From what I understand, because I wasn't here, it was built in 2002 and it was inspired by other historic things. So it is our goal to bring it back online. A lot of people have asked me about that. But it's going to be a journey because it's not up to code. And that's kind of why it was shut down. The first thing we have to do now is start at the start and actually have building plans. So I'm actually going to throw out, if anybody knows anybody who has building plans for this building, we need them because we don't have them. And that would be great to have to move forward on that. If not, we'll have to make our own, but that's basically our first step in getting the warming hut back online, and among other things as well. So let me know, or Amber know, if you know anybody who has those plans. I think they exist. Jack-Knight Hall, another great historic building. And some of you may have seen over the summer, we were able to get the new roof on. So that's great, all sealed up. But as you can see, here is a list of more work that is scheduled to be done on this historic building and give it, you know, a new life, you know, Jack-Knight Hall 2.0. So we have parking lots, lighting, cabinetry, entrances, everything. And right now it's scheduled to be at $1.2 million. And I'm pretty sure it'll be more than that, as we know now with construction costs. So I expect that the district will continue to work on these projects that might be piecemealed a little bit at a time to get that building up to code. But I want to share with you all the list of what we're working on to make that building more usable, more more ADA accessible, and just way to support the park. Okay, interpretive master plan. So interpretive master plan can help really push forward projects. It helps give our interpretive program focus and ideas. And it's a really important document to help get things funded. So CBTA has graciously donated $50,000 for that. It's an expensive project. It takes a few years. And we are super close to getting that contract going. We are in the process of putting out bids for companies to do this work. We've gotten 2 bids back on this, and I'm just waiting for paperwork to go through. One small hurdle is that the fiscal year, those of you know about business, is approaching the end of it. And so it's kind of tricky to do business while the fiscal year switches over. So there might be some delay in this, but we have 2 bids. I'm moving forward, and I'm hoping to wrap this up in the new fiscal year relatively soon. So I will keep everybody informed as we move ahead. All right, very exciting. Anybody's been to the park like within the last couple of weeks, you will have seen this big stone foundation at North Grove Trailhead. That is the foundation of our new exhibit, outdoor exhibit. Also years in the making, and we are going to be putting that up soon. The foundation is built, and next we're actually starting on Monday and Tuesday. The construction crew will be in the park, and they'll be installing that, the cookie part, we call it, the tree round. And then the frame that goes around it. That's all being built next week. So if you're around the park, you're going to see that. And within a couple of weeks, we will have that built. And it's going to be a huge icon to the start of the trail. People will see it from the parking lot. And we're just so excited to have it up there. It's also going to honor the tree itself, the Pioneer Cabin tree, which a lot of you have connections to. Park visitors to this day still ask where it is. And so we'll be able to point to it in a way and educate them about it and the sequoia trees and more. So very excited about that. We also have panels that will go with it, and they'll be installed once everything's settled. And again, during Discovery Day on July 23rd, we'll have a little ceremony with all the partners that were involved and do a reveal or a ribbon cutting or whatnot. And it'll be officially open. So super excited to celebrate that and have it in the park for you all to see. Little funding report again, and this is the money you guys are paying for our staff. I always report to you guys, and so this will be coming to you all for your records. You can see that we spend a lot more in the summer, a little bit less in the winter, based on our needs. Okay, so I want to focus on our ports program for just a second here. This is prepared for by Lily, our ports interpreter, and who you guys directly fund. Ports represents Parks online resources for teachers and students. It's basically online learning, virtual learning. Here's a picture of kids in the library. These kids can be anywhere in the world, and they beam into the park with all this cool technology we have. And there is one of our interpreters there live, engaging with them. Engagement's huge in education, and they can touch the tree and talk about it and everything. So that's kind of what she does. And you guys are funding her for this. You can see she's doing it in the winter. She's out there when it snows, it's cold. She's out talking to kids and teachers about the forest, about sequoias, about climate change, about whatever else, we can represent the park with. And you can see a lot of times, it's a 45-minute program. She does it about 3 times a week. And anybody, any teacher, any age can sign up for this. And we have them from Calaveras County all the way from Canada. And all grades. Here's some fun graphs here for you guys. You can see how she reached us this year almost 150 programs, almost 5,000 students who never probably would have come to the park. They got to come for like 45 minutes and visit the park. And you can see they're all over California. And interesting enough, if you find the Southern California counties, a good chunk of them are from that LA, San Diego area. So imagine these city kids, suburb kids who live in the cities and they know the beach well, maybe they can discover a sequoia forest through this program without leaving their home. or hometown, I should say. She has different kinds of programs. She has giant sequoia stuff. She has winter superpowers. And also, as you all know, I mean, there's a lot of fire stuff going on in our park, and we can educate people about what else is going on. And so she also focuses on that as well. She did a thing on Earth Day, did a whole webinar, over 100 people tuned in, and including our state parks director participated in our program as well and said hi. Always an honor when the big guy director pops in your program. So that was really cool to get some attention. And also he learns more about our program too. You can see just some of the impact she's having out there with the kids. These are comments from the kids, third grade, kindergartners, you know, a lot of them are just blown away. They really get engaged. And imagine all the sparks that we can create out there with these kids who now might come actually visit the park now that they've experienced it virtually. That's always a seed we love planting. And then, you know, just a cute thing. This is great when my interpreters get stuff like this. You know, this kind of gives that love from the students, pictures and comments and things like that. And so she's gotten a lot of this stuff. So yeah, thanks for supporting her and just learn a little bit about the impact she's having with the park right there. And I want to thank all of you all for being members and being board members and supporting our park. Always happy to work with you all, and I look forward to many more years of doing this. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Mike Merritt? Yes, Bob.
So, Mike, can you keep us informed in terms of the North Grove path and its closure and redirects? Hopefully we'll be able to maybe take people up on the Overlook pathway, Grove Overlook, or maybe on the Fire Road over by the Mother, something like that, so that they can see a majority of it and not just go up a part and then doubling back. It gets to be a lot of people when they're going both directions. So
yeah, absolutely, Bob. And it'll be ongoing. It'll be challenging, but I'm sure the staff and the volunteers will come together, be creative, and find some ways to keep people active on the trail. Hopefully the crew, if it's closed, it'll just be for a short time. But absolutely, we want to get people out there as much as possible. And Leslie, we have some other routes that you've said that we can use. All right.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, as we close this section, and before I tell you my president's report, our interns have a special surprise for you. And I want to say that last year we had one intern. This year we have two. And while CBTA funds the actual interns, the Department of Parks and Recreation provides the trailer for them to live in. So, Risa and Ford, this is your time to close this particular section. Okay?
Just Risa. I have no musical talent at all.
So, doing the campfire programs, we sing songs at the beginning and the end, and I was a camp counselor for about 6 years. We always sang a really nice, calming, closing campfire song, and I thought that we needed our own anthem. So I took the tune of Country Roads and wrote Highway 4 for the park. So I'm gonna play that for you guys. I'm only a little bit nervous, so no judgments, please. All right. Almost heaven, Calaveras, Ponderosa, Stanislaus River. Life is old there, but younger than the trees, 'cause they're 2,000 years old, blowing in the breeze. Highway 4, give me more giant trees for me to see. Calaveras, big sequoias. Highway 4, give me more. mother and the father. Big sequoias painted on the sky. Hear the great horned owl, mosquito in my eye. Highway 4, give me more giant trees for me to see. Calaveras, big sequoias. Highway 4, give me more. I smell the fire in the morning hour, the smoke falls, the new growth, it reminds me of the forest long ago. And seeing all the space, I get the feeling that it will get better tomorrow, tomorrow. Highway 4, give me more giant trees for me to see. Calaveras, big sequoias. Highway 4, give me more. Highway 4, give me more. There we go.
Hooray!
Woo!
That was so fun. And I want to particularly acknowledge the contribution that Peter Ralston and his family have made to the intern program. They established a fund that is, we set aside as restricted funds that are invested to help have the interns with us. So Peter, do you want to say a word or two about the interns, or what caused you to want to do this?
Thank you, Peter.
Oh, you're very welcome. My wife and I set this up in the early 1990s. We had been coming to the park to camp with our children, and as I mentioned, I'd been coming since I was a child. So it's wonderful to have you here, and hopefully you'll dedicate your lives to preservation in some place of our ecosystem. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Great music too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for what your family has done for the park. Okay. So that brings us to the president's report. And let's just say it's been an interesting year. First of all, well, you know, we had the COVID and we had things shut down and COVID restrictions and masking and not masking and testing and all that kind of thing. However, even though we didn't have programs and things particularly the last half of last year, or all of last year, 2021, we took advantage of this time to start planning for a post-pandemic future. Of course, that post-pandemic future is very uncertain, but there were some additional steps that we could take. And one of them was to start thinking of strategic planning. Sue and I both went to a variety of webinars and classes and things like that to find out how to try to do this. And the first step is defining who we are. And so I'm going to ask Sue to help out by showing the sort of thing that a committee came up with and got approved by the board. We wanted to define our mission and our vision, and something we'd never looked at before, really, our core values. All right, so Sue, if you could start us off on our mission, share screen. Okay. Are we there? Ah, here we go. Whoops. All right. Excuse me, this wasn't quite what I expected. See, we keep on learning, don't we? Well, if that's going to get to be too much of a problem. Okay, well, maybe this was going to get to be a problem, so. Yes, here we are. Thank you, Sue. So here's our mission statement, and the importance of a mission statement is to be able to sum up who we are and to be able to express that to other people. Sometimes I talk about, you know, elevator talks, etc. But we are the nonprofit partner of this park. And so our basic mission in our charter and also in the we have to sign a contract with the park every 5 years to create, fund, and deliver inspirational, educational, and interpretive programs. So we help out as much as we can. And I think that Mike really outlined many of the things that we do, and we do it because of our members and our donors. And we also want to inspire people to preserve and protect the giant sequoias and all our natural resources. People will protect what they love. We want our visitors to love the park. And so we have a vision for what we'd like to see, a vibrant, healthy giant sequoias in our premier state park. This is the only state park with giant sequoias. We want access for all and inspiration for your body, mind, and spirit. And again, the motivation to protect and preserve the natural, cultural, and recreational resources. And in order to do that, we develop these core values. We had quite a number of discussions on board meetings about this. What are we trying to do? What are the lodestars that we need to keep in mind? Well, collaboration, sustainability. I'm hearing somebody else speaking. Okay, no, that's it. Sustainability, environmental stewardship, fiscal responsibility, and integrity. And that's why we are telling you about our finances and how we're using your money. And we're trying to do it in the most efficient and effective ways. And a respect for people, history, and cultures here. So thank you very much, Sue, for showing us those. Now, one of the interesting things that we did this past during the time that things were shut down, we decided to get our fiscal year aligned with that of the state. And so before we did a calendar year, financial year, and instead we moved to July 1st, June 30th, which is the way the state funds things. And so this is one of the ways of enhancing the partnership that we have, as if we're on the same sort of planning cycles. Okay. Mike has already outlined the many things that your funds have helped to support. I just want to mention, for example, the seasonal aid, CBTA contributed $120,000. I mean, we're not talking chicken feed. All right. The ports program, another $40,000. The buses to big trees, I don't have a figure for that. As I mentioned, this year we get 2 interns instead of 1. And of course, we support the docent program in various ways. And an interesting feature that we do that you'll hear more about later is we give scholarships to some students that are in California colleges and are majoring in various things that have to do with environmental sciences. And we give 2 scholarships, and the amount of that scholarship was raised from $2,500 to $3,000. And later on, Betty Watson will tell us about this year's winners, and you'll get to see them. Now, this spring, we started kind of tiptoeing into presenting programs again as the COVID restrictions were loosened. And we have had already a number of interesting programs. Dr. Scott Stevens was talking about mitigating wildfire destruction. Anthony Ambrose and Wendy Baxter, who did research at Calaveras Big Tree State Park some years ago and presented a webinar on that subject, brought us some update on the research. and they were scheduled to be in Jackknight Hall. Jackknight Hall had been closed for 2 years and was opened 10 days before their scheduled seminar. And so, frankly, CBTA ordered and paid for a cleaning crew to come. Jackknight Hall is a historical building. You can't just use any old cleaning material on it. Having been closed for 2 years, it was a playground for a wide variety of small animals, largely rodents, you know, that leave things, that chew on things, and spiders, and birds' nests, and well, you can imagine. All right. So that's something that's not exactly in our charter, but if it needs to be done, that's one of the good things about being a nonprofit. We can jump on it quickly and take care of it. And we did. And I particularly want to thank Jim Alday and Joan Alday, who did the research to find the cleaning group that did this. They worked a very, very long day till 9 o'clock at night and got it cleaned up 2 days before the seminar. We had John Muir-Laws present a workshop that he's always been very popular. We generally tend to have him about every 2 years. It sold out right away. And we had Michael Wirtz present John Muir and the Giant Sequoias, some very interesting illustrations that John Muir did. And so we want to emphasize the history and culture of this area. And Mike already mentioned the Dogwood Festival, which was a joint project between the Department of Parks and Recreation. Amber planned it and Joan planned it and worked very hard at it. And it was a big success. It was May 17th. People had a great time. And again, that was also sold out. And then in June already, we've had Wild Things visit us. This is a group that takes in animals that are injured and tries to rehabilitate them for release, but you know, sometimes they just can't be released in the wild again because they wouldn't survive. And so then they are gotten accustomed to humans and used for educational purposes, brought to places so that people can get up close and personal to them. So that occurred already in June. So let me get back to the strategic planning thing. We're trying to develop a new paradigm that will differ from the past, but take things from the past. So what we want to be thinking about through the summer and fall is, what have we learned? For example, we've learned a lot about doing things virtually that we used to do in person. And what things do we want to carry over from the past? And in what format? And how do we want to modify things? And what do we want to explore in new paths? So we started some of this strategic planning. We worked with a graduate student in Pepperdine Business School who did some surveys for us. Initial survey of CBTA board and staff and some members of the park staff as well. And we have information from them. We need more information, however, and particularly from you as our CBTA membership. So we'll figure out a way to survey you and find out what you like about the park, what directions you think we ought to go in, improvements, etc. We'll be working on that this summer and fall. And so that's going to be, we welcome your ideas very much so. Now there's a new role that we've been exploring this year. As I'm sure you're very much aware, wildfires have become a serious concern throughout the West, but we have seen damage that has killed about 20% of mature giant sequoias. In Sequoia, Kings Canyon, that area down there. The nature of wildfires has changed. You know, they're no longer nice little things running around the ground. Okay, they go up. And if they get into the canopy, they start throwing embers ahead. And this is the kind of thing that can kill the giant sequoias. Giant sequoias are very thick bark towards the bottom. Okay, it can be 2 feet thick. So, you know, we thought, okay, you know, they're sort of fire resistant. We don't need to worry about them. That's not the case anymore. And of course, with the drought, and of course, with the changes in climate and the changes in temperature, we find that we no longer have a little fire season. You know, we started having fires, at least grass fires, in January this year. So all of these things have led CBTA to do something that a nonprofit such as CBTA can do, but that the park as a government agency really can't do, and that is advocate. Advocate for additional resources to clean up the fuel that has built up. And, you know, if you walk around, you take a look and see how much things have accumulated. I'm very happy, for example, that the CCC is working. I'm very happy that there is a 5-year plan that the Department of Parks and Recreation shared in a town hall meeting. But is the wildfire going to wait till the end of that plan? That's what we're concerned about. So we actually passed the board resolution and sent a letter to the director, Quintero, whom you saw recently, about the ports program early in the year. And that caught the attention of federal House of Representatives staff members. And they contacted us back in February asking our comments on the draft of a bill to save our sequoias. That's the name of it, Save Our Sequoias Act. And that bill is bipartisan. It's being presented by 15 Democrats and 15 Republicans. Okay. And it has received support from about 90 organizations and agencies, including us. We sent a letter supporting them. Now, let me just say that we got to see it in draft form, make some suggestions, have been in contact with these representatives, and it was finally presented on Wednesday night to the House of Representatives and put forth in a press conference. It's HR 8168. We will be sending you more information about this in an email early next week, but I wanted you to have some context as to what it's about. Now, it deals with federal lands. However, there are many provisions that will help us in the long run, such as provisions for training. Mike mentioned the need for forestry managers and people who know what they're doing. It's a great need, and it's hard to hire people because there aren't that many people that know this kind of thing. And so this is going to help us out. There is also the opportunity to apply for grants that would be there, and also exploring, so what do you do with all this fuel that's built up? You know, are there ways to convert it to energy? Are there ways to convert it to something useful? Are there jobs to be generated by this whole process that could help rural communities such as ours? And remember that if a place like the park burns, what's going to happen to Arnold? What's going to happen to Camp Connell? What's going to happen to Dorrington? Yeah, we saw what happened to Paradise. We saw what happened to Big Basin State Park. We don't want that to happen to us. So I just wanted to say, these are some of the reasons why we have stepped up with advocacy. And it's a new role for us. It is to some extent controversial, I must admit that. But I'll send you more information about this particular bill. You can decide if you feel like contacting your legislator and saying, please support this. I hope you'll say, we'll say that. And so I'd like to just point out some upcoming summer events, some of which Mike has already talked about. Actually, this year there's going to be a 4th of July parade in Arnold, and that's going to happen on Saturday, the 2nd of July. And so there will be people from the park staff, and they are trying to recruit others, docents, and also CBTA members, etc., to join them in the parade. Discovery Day, Mike has already spoken about, and the Pioneer Cabin exhibit, the tree exhibit that's going to happen and be inaugurated. That should be fascinating. And then we already have some seminars scheduled for September. Doc Nancy, whom many of you know, Nancy Milady-Meekin, will be presenting a seminar on September the 10th on birds, the inside scoop and outside stories. And then Joan Alday, who's here on this meeting, she will be presenting some things about the history of big trees, little known facts, not the things that we already know about. And that will be Saturday, September the 17th. And then we will also have the Calaveras Grove Association meeting, which we have to have annually. We normally have it in conjunction with this meeting, but we thought, oh, what a perfect opportunity to do in September. So those are some of the things that are coming up that you can look forward to, as well as all the programs in the park that Mike has already outlined. Now, I just want to mention that my term as president is ending at the end of this month. I will, however, remain on the CBTA board. So you're not rid of me yet, okay? But it has been really my pleasure to serve however I can, CBTA and the park. That's our goal, is to improve the experience of visitors to the park, to educate them, and to have them leave loving the park. And I want to thank all of you for being members of CBTA and for participating in this. Questions?
Can't thank you enough for what you've contributed.
Okay. All right, now Mike has to leave the meeting, and Ford and yeah, and Risa also have to leave because, you know, they've got work to do. All right. Okay, so let me continue on the agenda. And next, we have the report on our finances. And Nancy Gardner, our treasurer, will present that, please.
Oops. Yeah. Nancy Gardner, treasurer. So it's been a year since we had our last annual meeting, but it seems like much longer. A lot has happened in that time. Among other things, as Vita said, we changed our fiscal year from a calendar year to a June fiscal year. So at that meeting a year ago, we had an annual report for the calendar year 2020 that we had for you. And our transition year was January 2021 through June 2021. And we did have a report for that period that we sent out via email last fall. But since our new fiscal year ends next week on June 30th, we don't have an annual report for you at this point. Our plan is to produce one in the next few months. But what I can tell you is that fiscal year 21-22 has been very successful financially. We started out with a deficit budget, but COVID-related grants and better than budget visitor center sales have put us at a large surplus at the end of May. Jacob will talk more about the VC success story in his report. Our current surplus is around $50,000 for operations and programs. And now I was told not to put any numbers in my report because people's eyes just glaze over. They don't remember them. It doesn't stick and stuff like that. But I'm the treasurer and I'm an accounting person and I couldn't help myself. So there's just one number, that 50,000 surplus at the end of May. And so I hope I'm forgiven for that. So what's happening in the stock market has dragged our bottom line down a bit because of the losses on paper of our investments. Even so, we still have a surplus. However, we are confident in our investment choices, that our investment choices are wise under the guidance of John Krutzinger at Edward Jones and Murphy's, and that we will regain equity when the economy expands again. We are currently projected to the end of the year next week around just about where we are now. All in all, it's been a very successful year on a lot of levels, and we are looking forward to continuing our success next year. That is my report.
Thank you, Nancy. Any questions? Okay, if not, Jacob, tell us about the retail aspect.
So as Nancy mentioned, I'll speak to the numbers then, Nancy. I'm coming up now on, I think, 4 years at the very start of August, and it has been an interesting 4 years because so many things have changed. So when I first got here in 18, at the end of 18, I was just getting my bearings that first year. And then we went into our fiscal year 2019, where we did very well with about 735,000 in sales that netted us 208,000 in profit. Now that's just for retail operations. That's excluding administrative costs and salaries. But just for what the store does to raise the funds for our programs and for our lovely staff that we have with DPR. Thank you for pointing them out earlier. But we also want to give a big shout out to the docents that really played a big hand in this, especially Lewis. But sales have grown and grown, but even with a hiccup in 2020, being closed for 6 weeks, we didn't suffer too badly. We missed by a long shot in sales, but we only missed in our profit line by 20,000 and something. It was for an entire year, was pretty amazing. Then we had the weird half year in 21, where we continued to increase our profitability, where that if you do the simple math, Paul would love this, just dividing what the net profit is into the sales, you get a nice percentage number, and it's grown from 30 to 35%, 39% in 2021. And then with all the increases in costs and salaries and additional staff that we've added, I believe we're going to end at about a 32 to 33% bottom line net profit. And what that number forecasted to be that she didn't want to say, we're going to get close. We're getting closer and closer to $1 million operation, folks. We're going to close out this year at about 886,000 in sales is what I'm forecasting. And that's going to bring in $287,000 in net profit. Just great numbers. So we just increased, we just keep going. Our margins improved. Buying this year has been, and last year has been, a tremendous challenge. I'm sure everybody heard about supply chain issues. Getting, freight has gone through the roof. Things take a lot longer. Orders are taking, I've got orders that I placed like last October that I still don't have in, to give you an idea. And it's my job to track those orders, track our inventory levels, pivot, make another choice on something else to get something on the shelf if I'm not going to get it here in time, based on how fast the lead times are from my vendors. But all in all, we've increased our inventory levels to support even higher sales this summer. So we're off to a great year so far, or ending a great year so far and starting another one here July. Staffing has been a challenge. We had 3 great customer service representatives that were great fits, but ultimately left for either other opportunities or personal reasons. But for this summer, we still have Cheyenne and Ian who has joined us. Our docent Lewis is now on staff just for the summer. And then we have a couple of students, Madison and Delaney, who are both environmental science majors in college. And this is Madison's second year coming back to help us when she's out of school, and she's attending Cal State in Monterey. and she's doing great, and she's a fantastic addition. Though now Madison and Delaney will both be leaving though at the end of August, and we'll be back down to just myself, Cheyenne, and Ian to run the store, along with Lewis, our docent, and any other docents that are wanting to come back into the VC. How the VC operates has changed quite a bit since COVID, because it pushed a lot of, I don't know, in my mind, I want to say customer service, we'll say visitor interaction has now been pushed more to outside the store. So when people get out of their car, they're being greeted by all these park aides and docents before they come into the store and start asking questions at the counter, slowing down transactions. And what that's done is really made our business more efficient, and we're able to do a lot more sales and quicker because of that additional support, helping people outside in the front. We've got some new jewelry coming in pretty soon. We just made a very large investment there. But the two things over the last year that I really want to highlight is the park newspaper. So we have a new newspaper that, of course, we should have had by now, but there's a supply chain issue on getting enough paper to run 100,000 copies. And to do that, we've already agreed to spend $10,000 to have these go in. And I actually wanted to share my screen just so I could show you what that looks like here. Everybody see that? All right, so this is the new park paper that Amber and the park aides, I think even Sue helped with some of the formatting, but they condensed it into a smaller paper that answers a lot of the questions that people want before they interact with somebody. So they would get this paper, one per car, coming into the park from the kiosk, and that's coming soon. And see right at the very end, there's our little come into the store for a 10% discount on any item you want. I thought this paper was a great investment. I can't wait to have it, but it has the entire park map. It helps to offset when we run out of the maps that are provided, that were purchased with the Save the Redwoods League grants, because they just don't have enough of them. They go through them so fast, so they're only given when people ask at this point. So I'm really looking forward to this paper coming in. And then I had one other thing I wanted to show y'all, which is, where is it? All right. So if you guys have been to Yosemite and you've seen what really big retail operations can do, they have custom full color grocery bags. And this is also in production. That's going to be stuck on a boat for a couple more months, I think. But it is a full color grocery bag that will be very inexpensive. We're talking $5. But one of my strategies to increase sales is to raise the average ticket. So how much does each person buy on average? It's about $30. But we're going to offer this bag for free. It'll discount off for free when they spend $60. So I'm going to raise that ticket, assuming no more visitors are coming in than already come in, because you can barely find a parking spot on any given day in the summertime. But if you see here, look, it even has all of our organization contact information. Sue helped me with the QR codes so that we have the codes on the sides of the back that get you to our support page if you want to make a difference and make a donation. If you want to join our,
you're not sharing it.
Oh, I'm not. You don't see that?
No.
Oh.
We just see your pretty face.
Yeah, well, that's a bummer. I don't know why that is not sharing.
Did you share the screen?
His pretty face and an even prettier stump.
Well, okay.
Did you unshare the previous screen? You have to unshare that first.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm so sorry.
As I say, we keep on learning.
Yes, we do. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know where I put it. It's going to be a really cool bag, you guys. And then the last thing that I really spent some time on as well this year is working on a strategic plan to introduce food and beverage into the park. It's going to take a whole lot of cooperation with DPR and especially around facilities, but offering food and beverage in the park, if we can make that happen, can be a massive increase in sales. And it's actually one of the #1 things visitors want when they go to a park now is some food and beverage options. So there's a lot of considerations that go into that. And I have some information that I can help layer into the future strategic planning that I would like to be a part of. Other than that, I think that is about all I had. Did anybody have any questions for me? Okay. So one last note on the future budget that we have on the table to be voted on. I'm seeing and reading more articles about the possibility of a recession coming, but there's also a lot of talk that it's going to drive actually more people into the park. And so I budgeted conservatively. I think we're going to beat that as well. So I'm not sold on the deficit that we're going to see on the budget, but I also like to play conservative so that we're managing our expectations. Because there's a lot of things that come up in late fall that we cannot control. Smoke from wildfires that impacted us tremendously last September. We have power outages when it gets too smoky or if there's a fire risk. So all those, and then also the work that's going to be done on North Grove that was already talked about by Mike. So there's a lot of things that potentially could impact visitation into the store. But I actually think we're going to get more visitors because you can't even get into Yosemite without a reservation. And guess what? We're right on the way. So it saves them gas money. So I have some more optimistic views of what the year is to come. And other than that, that's all I have to say. And I'll just share one thing. Let me see if this will work. This share screen here. Share. Can people see that?
Aha!
That's our little fur baby. And I just wanted to let everybody know. Roland has passed on. We lost him early due to cancer, but just wanted to share everybody. Say hi. There we go.
Okay.
Very cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know what? We have one more report, which is going to be on the scholarship and then the election, and then we'll end this meeting. But I just thought perhaps this is a moment when people might want to stand up and just stretch for a moment. And yeah, so I don't know.
Great idea, Vita.
Yeah, how you're feeling, but I know how I'm feeling. Okay. Okay, I'm sure you really loved seeing my t-shirt. I just realized that's what you got to see, you lucky people. Okay, but I think our next report will be again a very interesting one, and I want to turn that over to Betty Watson, who is one of the people who is the person that will be returning to the board if you elect her in the election that will follow her report. And I strongly support her. Let me just say that she has been the hostess with the mostest. She's been the lady that you've probably remembered serving coffee and hot water and tea and good things and lots of yummy cookies at our meetings and at our seminars and things like that. So Betty, she again, one of her talents is working with a scholarship and reading all the scholarships applications. So Betty, go on.
Okay. I was going to say good morning, but I think it's afternoon now. I am always so pleased to work on the scholarship committee. I am a retired teacher, so I absolutely love to see what is in the future coming up. Really talented people in the future coming. So first of all, my committee member was Paul Prescott, and thank you so much, Paul, for helping me read all the scholarships. It takes hours of time to read them all. Well, as you know, CBTA awards 2 scholarships each year. The first one is the Emily M. Hewitt Memorial Scholarship and the Steve Stockling Scholarship, each for $3,000. And in making this selection, the committee focuses on Emily Hewitt and Steve Stocking's legacies and their love of nature, and also CBTA's mission of commitment to education and interpretation. And I want to say I am so pleased to see Brett Hewitt here. Very good, Emily's son, and I'm so pleased that he is here with us today. Thank you, Brett. All right, first of all, the Scholarship Committee is pleased to announce these 2 scholarships for 2022. And first of all, we'll go with the Emily M. Hewitt Scholarship. And we would like to present that scholarship to Kaylee Hamilton. And I want to tell you a little bit about Kaylee, and I'm so glad to see Kaylee. It's nice to see the faces with what we're reading, all these wonderful things. Kaylee will be attending the Teachers College of San Joaquin, working on her master's degree in education. And she is a local girl from Paparopolis, so that was kind of neat. And she's actually working at a charter school right now in San Andreas, doing a lot of and she's working on her environmental and literacy and outdoor education is her focus. She has led many hikes with her students to Calaveras Big Trees, and then also she runs a school science camp, K through 12, hikes through Calaveras County, and her outdoor education inspires students to protect and preserve the beauty of the world around them. And that's what touched my heart, really, because I was just an elementary school teacher, but it's so important to preserve the beauty of the world around them. And her whole thing is nature is the best teacher in the world. And I love that. And now I'd like to introduce Kaylee, and congratulations, Kaylee. You're on.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to see everyone's faces. I'm sorry I'm outside now. I was inside, but my kids were being a little rowdy. So I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay out here. So I've been working with our county, trying to connect us to all our amazing local places, such as Big Tree State Parks, and doing a lot of trainings with the county for our teachers, and hopefully getting them comfortable taking their kids outside, letting them see all the very cool things that everyone has to offer. All these amazing programs like sports that they were talking about. Our school has sports. Corey Ross, I work with her, and she has brought it to our school. She's amazing. I look forward to working with sports and her this year for our Nature Bowl team. So my master's project and the scholarship that I received are going to be helping to work on the professional developments for teachers for outdoor environmental education. I'm focusing on our county and just getting our teachers trained and comfortable outdoors. So that way our kids get to immerse themselves in all the beautiful things we have locally, and noticing that nature isn't something they need to go to, but it's here in our county. And there's so many beautiful things out here for us to enjoy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much, Kaylee. All right, now our second award winner, and he has been so patient, thank you, is our Stephen Stocking Scholarship. And this year it is being awarded to Andrew Sandall. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Okay, good. Andrew, and it's so nice to see your face too. Great. I'm glad you are with us. Andrew is attending UCLA in the fall. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Amsterdam. That interested me, really. No, love to be there. No. Anyway, and he's furthering his education toward his master's degree in environmental law and conservation. And Andrew has worked as a biologist for CAL FIRE and wildlife, and then the creek and complex fires, and also at Sequoia National Park and Giant Sequoia National Monument. And so he is pursuing a degree in environmental law, and Andrew would like to bridge the gap between science, policy, and the public. So Andrew, congratulations. and you may unmute you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Betty. Wonderful to meet all of you. As you mentioned, Betty, I've been working in the biology field for quite some time. When I was over in Amsterdam, we worked on building bridges over highways to help animals cross. They call them eco-ducts over there. In LA, there's been a lot of talk about the one that they're going to be building there for the mountain lions to hopefully cross over some of these really busy freeways. But after coming back from the Netherlands, I now work in the Sierra, in the Southern Sierra, primarily dealing with these catastrophic fires that we had back in 2020. The Creek Fire, as we all know, which decimated the Shaver Lake, Huntington Lake area, and then also the Sequoia and Castle Complex Fire. I actually wasn't aware, but in that area just south of Sequoia National Park, there are a lot of giant sequoia trees up in the communities there. The stag tree is the 5th largest tree in the world that's up there. And thankfully that tree survived, but a lot of those giant sequoias did not. So we've been up there making sure that the cleanup is following all environmental regulations, and maybe even more importantly, we're replanting a lot of these little giant sequoias that are now sprouting from the embers of the fire that passed through. So it's really a sad but special time to be up there. Very interesting to see the trees that have survived, and then right next to them, seeing these little seedlings that we're planting and hoping that we can foster and keep the beauty of that area. So thank you guys so much. I have always wanted to bridge the gap between the field biology and also the policy and the lawmaking side of things. I feel like there's a pretty big divide between the scientists in the field that know the biology, but maybe don't know all the legal language, and then the policymakers, which know the legal side of things, but don't really know what it's like to be on the ground in the field, working every day with these species. So I have a bit of a crazy life right now in that I'm up at 7,000 feet working 60-hour weeks, and then I'm driving down to UCLA to take night classes and trying to make it happen. So this scholarship has helped alleviate some of the financial burden, which is huge. And it's also just wonderful to be encouraged by all of you, and to know that what we're doing up there is important, and to see all of you who also care so much about these giant sequoia trees and about the forest. So huge thank you. It means a lot.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and congratulations to both of you. CBTA is really proud to be able to give you those scholarships. It means a lot to us. And I look forward to next year. Maybe I'll get to read some more. All right, thank you so much. That's my report.
Thank you, Betty. And notice that we have, as you've already pointed out, Brett Hewitt here. Did you want to say anything about the scholarships or about your mother or anything like that?
I would, but you've had a long meeting here, but what I did do was dig out Mom's old diploma from Stanislaus State College, and she went back to school to finish her bachelor's degree at age 38, and she would have to schlep down to Turlock from Oakdale, 30, 45-minute drive, depending how foggy it was, 2 nights a week for 2 years, just to finish up her bachelor's. And she charged the 3 kids, I'm being the oldest, to make dinner. One of us did the main dish, one did the salad, and one did the dessert. Because back in the day, my father wouldn't engage in such things. But we did that for 2 years. And upon her 40th year, she got her diploma. And this diploma is signed by Pat Brown. So there's a blast in the past. Her AA degree diploma, which she got from Cal during World War II, she was one of 3 secretaries for Henry J. Kaiser as he was popping those Liberty boats out at Mare Island. This diploma was signed by Earl Warren. So 2 outstanding leaders of the state of California. Kaylee, Mom would be very proud of you for doing what you're doing while raising a family. It wasn't easy, but her work did invest in all 3 of us the need to get a college education, to stick with it. And in fact, both my sister and I have graduate degrees. And I think, making salad and making the main dish for those 2 nights for 2 years in a row had left some impression on all three of us. So she would be proud. She also would be very, very proud of the stewardship that CBTA has shown in doing the scholarship work for now, since 1985, I think was when, after she died, we first set the scholarship up. But now that it's actually turning out, the endowment's turning out $3,000 a year, that's terrific. That's a lot of money. When I gave a graduate student $1,250 about 10 years ago, graduate student in history, she looked at me and she said, "Thank you so much. I didn't know what I was going to live on during the summer." So it's amazing how much graduate students get out of every dollar. And it's kind of one of these unsung things that graduate student support is just lacking in higher education to a great extent. So again, thank you for the good work. Congratulations, Kaylee. That's it. Thank you.
And thank you, Brett, and your family for establishing the fund for the scholarships that the Emily Hewitt's got. And by the way, Emily Hewitt became the first mayor of Oakdale, right? The first woman mayor of Oakdale. She was an amazing woman. She also had artistic talent, and she was very interested in conveying the beauty and love of nature to other people. So she was you come from a great heritage, Brett.
Well, to that end, at Oakdale High School, all the kids had to come down the hill from Copperopolis, Eugene, and Milton back in the day. That's a long trip up and a long trip back in a bus that doesn't have a bathroom. But yes, Mom was elected in 1972. First was 18, so the first real vote that I got to cast was for my mom for city council. 2 years later, she became mayor. And the scholarship plaque that you have in the office there in the visitor center, I have a duplicate and I put it right next to my daughter's room. So she points out Emily Hewitt, first mayor. Just sort of a subtle thing. And I think I'm a widower raising an adopted kid on my own, a 15-year-old, and it's a challenge. It is a challenge, but she's a good kid. She's getting basically straight A's at Davis High. So all's good. But thank you for putting that out too, Vita.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, the end is in sight. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't think it's a train coming to run us over. But right now, I think we're getting ready towards talking about a bit about having the election. And again, if you need to, wriggle your shoulders or something like that, but we're probably going to finish up quite soon. However, first I need to acknowledge that Nancy, as she mentioned, will be retiring from the board and retiring from her job as treasurer. She has been the treasurer for CBTA for the past 5 years. She's brought us into the 21st century as to accounting standards, and she brought experience from being 16 years as the accounting director at the American Red Cross in Santa Cruz and in San Jose. So she brought that experience to her position here. And we thank you for this, your service, Nancy, and we hope that you have a lot of fun. I know that you're a Mets fan, and hope you have a wonderful break now that you richly deserve. And thank you for your contributions to CBTA.
Well, thank you. If I can say just a couple of words, it's been a great experience working with everybody and increasing my knowledge too, and learning more and more about the park. And I had hoped to have a picture to share of all my binders and totes and everything with all the CBTA stuff in it, but I just ran out of time. And now that we're on Boardable, I don't really accumulate so much stuff anymore. But anyway, so I really appreciate all the support I've received over the years from the board and the staff.
All right. Which brings us to the election. And Paul, you have been the head of the nominating committee. So Paul Prescott, it's your turn now.
And good afternoon. I know you all want to finish the meeting early, but I'm going to hijack it anyway because I'd like to give a commendation to our outgoing President, Vita Kenk. Vita, whether it's God or the gods of CBTA, have placed you as president at two very important times. This is not your first merry-go-round as president. You were president during 2013 to 2015 when the brand new visitor center was opened. In fact, we opened in the fall, but the state basically said, well, you can't have your grand opening until the spring. Calaveras Big Tree State Park was one of the few places where the entire state of California celebrated the 150th anniversary of the state parks. And you were president at that time. And you sat out on that hot parking lot, as did all the rest of us. In that fall of 2014, you began your first tour of duty as planning strategic planning. You faced the board, then meeting in this brand new education building, and politely informed us we are no longer a mom and pop store anymore. Your planning career goes back more than a decade, and we thank you for doing that. Even though you're going off the board, off the presidency, you will be staying on the board, as you mentioned, in working in strategic planning. But you also became president in the year 2020, which was not a year that gave us great vision. You basically had been our pandemic president as well. You also like to say that you tend to be a Pollyanna about such things. And for those people who don't know the Disney classic from 60 some odd years ago, Pollyanna always was able to find the bright side in anything and able to find the bright part of every person, no matter what. The young Haley Mills is talking to Carl Malden at one point and gives a quote from allegedly from Abraham Lincoln. If you look for the good in people, you will surely find it. And that certainly is our Pollyanna pandemic president, Vita Kenk. But I also would call you a COVID president, especially since you are still recovering from COVID yourself, except I have different definition of COVID. C, considerate. O, outstanding. V, vigorous. I, integrity. D, determination. Considerate, outstanding, vigorous, integrity, determination. You truly have been our pandemic COVID president as well. And so we thank you for your service, and I look forward to working with you more on the board. So everyone, a round of applause for our president, who is a few minutes away from being a former president again. So what I was supposed to be talking about in the first place is introducing the slate of people running for office for CBTA, for which you'll be voting. First of all, Betty Watson, as you heard, had been on the board before, but I'd also like to give a shout out to Bunny. Are you still with us, Bunny? Wave your hand so we can see you. Bunny Fireball and Betty Watson were the dynamic duo when it comes to hospitality. Did you wave your hand, Bunny? You there? There you are. Thank you. And Betty has continued the tradition that you established years and years and years ago, and we thank you for being with us today. So Betty Watson is running for a 2-year term, and so that will be on the vote. The other 4 of us have finished a 2-year term and are eligible to run for another 2-year term. Those would be Jim Alday, Jim Bearden, Marcy Powers, and Paul Prescott. So at some point, we're going to have a ballot tossed up, and you will have a chance to vote for those. Any questions about the slate of people you'll be voting for? Okay, so I see Sue is on the phone. I think she's supposed to be putting up a virtual ballot. While she's doing that, By the way, we are in violation of our bylaws. This is supposed to be a paper ballot, but we've been violating it now the last 3 years. So you're going to be voting virtually as soon as something happens.
While we're waiting, I would just like to say thank you so much, Paul, for your beautiful words about Evita and your acronym for her in terms of COVID. But I would also like to comment that I was inspired by Vita's leadership over the past year and in terms of bringing CBTA into the new world of advocacy. And Vita's often told me another inspiring comment that when she goes to bed at night, she thinks about, well, what did I learn today? And I try to do that, but I never had thought about it before, and it inspired me to start doing that. But the most important thing is this is a woman who led us into advocacy and did about 15 press interviews over the past year, including a live interview on KCRA TV. So I honor you, Vita, for everything you've done to help us protect and save the giant sequoias.
Okay, you should have the virtual ballot on your screen now. It goes down to 1, 2, 3. Then you need to scroll down to vote for the rest of us. And as soon as you hit submit, it should disappear.
Yeah, and I want to say that the board members are elected by the entire membership of CBTA that's present at the annual meeting. So everybody who's a member can vote, please.
So I have a question. I answered the first 5. Number 6, do I have a write-in candidate? And if so, put it in chat. And I don't, and I hit submit and it won't submit because I only answered 5 of 6. So Sue, what am I doing wrong? It's not submitting.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
I have the same problem.
Submit's not working.
Ooh.
Maybe you have to.
My submit works.
If you hit,
my submit
hit
works.
choice.
So just count the votes we have and we'll go with it.
Yeah, just make choice 1
just
or
make
choice
a choice
2.
1, yeah.
It makes
Okay.
it long.
All right.
Oh, yeah, just choose one. Yeah, just
hit
choose
choice
one.
1 and then submit.
Yeah.
It won't
Yeah,
submit
I guess
until
you have to
turn
make
on
a
lights.
choice. You have to make a choice.
It worked.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. This is maybe in 3 or 4 years we'll figure this one out.
Yeah, we learn.
Yeah, so
we learned today.
looks like everybody's voted. Is everybody voted? I'm ending the vote now.
We have 25 participants according to my screen. You got about 25
No,
votes.
there's 17 votes.
17, okay.
Which is probably right.
And you don't have to vote, you know, if you want
but
to. But
it says 17 of 17 have voted, so.
I don't think staff can vote.
Yeah, we can't vote. So.
Oh, that's true.
We won't have a full 25.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ending the poll. Oh, Nancy got back in. Nancy's computer went dead in the middle of this whole thing. So do you want to see the results or what?
No, just tell us who's elected and
well, oddly enough, it was a unanimous vote for all 5 board of directors.
Wow, what a shocker.
And even though I don't think anybody actually wrote in. No, okay. You can see it anyway. There's what? You can see the results. See the results? Everybody, yes. It was unanimous. It was a unanimous.
We see results. Yes, thank you very much.
It was a unanimous thing. I think it's over now.
Well, thank you so much for conducting that. And thank you to everybody who's here at the meeting. And I want to say that it's your membership and your support that keeps CBTA going. And we're moving into a new paradigm, and we will want to collect some of your ideas as to the directions that we go. So you'll keep hearing from me, at least in my role of strategic planning. So what is going to happen now is people who are not on the board can leave. We're about to adjourn the meeting, and then we're going to take a brief break, about 10 minutes, for board members to come back. And we have a short board, we hope short, board meeting, but we all need to stretch and do whatever we need to do before attacking that. So, and by the way, our board meetings are open to the public as a nonprofit. That's one of the things that we have to do to be transparent.